This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Fort Hall School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 24th of August, 2022, and I am Tuel.
I am Miss K.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, the smoking gun in Raila's petition. In the Star, why CHEBUKATI numbers don't add up, according to Raila. In the Standard, inside Raila's evidence. In the PG, IBC in tight corner. Welcome back to him. How is Venezuela?
Fantastic. We busted some people there trying to do rigging. We'll tell you more about it.
Kick us off.
1 week to the August election, we hypothesized that there could have been a plot to rig the August 9th election. And our hypothesis was based on the history of Smartmatic. Company IEBC contracted to supply election technology for the election. From Venezuela to the Philippines, Smartmatic has been found criminally liable for the manipulation of presidential results. Our hypothesis was further solidified by the arrest of 3 Venezuelans at JKIA. The 3 had in their possession IEBC election material hidden in personal luggage. The 3 Venezuelans, identified as Jose Gregorio Carmago Castellanos, Joel Gustavo Rodriguez Garcia, and Salvador Javier Sosa Suarez, are employees of Smartmatic. Now, according to the Azimio petition to the Supreme Court, the DCI performed forensic analysis on the Venezuelan laptops and hard drives, and what they found was shocking. The petition says that there were 21 persons, 19 foreigners and 2 locals, who had access to the IEBC servers and access to Kenya's entire voter register. The 21 could log in at any time from anywhere in the world and could alter data in whichever way they saw fit. This claim by Azimio is similar to a report published by KPMG on the voter register a few days to the election. The KPMG report said that there were 14 super returning officers that could access IEBC servers and the voter register and alter, manipulate, add or subtract data at any time and in whichever way they saw fit. In fact, the report said there were over 2 million voters that had been moved from their polling stations illegally. Please remember that this is the same Smartmatic company that admitted in 2017 or in the 2017 Venezuelan election that their systems manipulated voter turnout by at least 1 million votes. In the 2016 Philippines presidential elections, results began to stream in a day before the election. In fact, the Filipino Department of Justice ordered the filing of criminal charges against the Commission on Elections, which is the Filipino version of IEBC, and Smartmatic for manipulation of the servers in the middle of election result transmission during the 2016 polls. The question is, if Smartmatic could do this in Venezuela and the Philippines and be found criminally liable, why would the same not happen in Kenya? But even more importantly, if Smartmatic colluded with the Filipino Election Commission to manipulate the presidential election, why would the same not happen in Kenya? Lastly, IEBC CEO Hussein Marjan was asked whether he knew of Smartmatic's global record. Here is what he had to say.
What level of due diligence did you do on Smartmatic International Corporation?
So before even award, there was actually due diligence that was actually done, and this actually involved going to places where actually they did election before, and to interview those specific countries where actually it happened, and also going to the specific areas where this farm exists. So those are 2 things that were actually done, and this they produce a report in terms of what actually they observed.
Did you know that the Cybercrime Investigation and the Coordinating Center, CICC, in the Philippines after the 2016 elections called on Smartmatic? It compromised the elections which led to the election of President Rodrigo Duterte. Did you know that in Uganda, The biometric voter kits failed, forcing the election officials to revert to the manual voter system. Did you know that in Venezuela, in Latin America in 2017, Smartmatic on its own acknowledged that the turnout voter figures were manipulated by at least 1 million voters? Did you establish this before you awarded the contract?
No. These other news about that you are providing now are things that I was not even aware about.
So the report you awarded never cited these issues?
These issues were never cited.
But this is a company that is seriously indicted by a cybercrime agency of a country.
This, I think, it would require the company to respond, because I don't have a...
But you're already in agreement with them?
Yes, it's because this information did not even come to our attention. You are actually saying that, and it's not even confirmed. This probably will be based on information that you've been able to search, maybe from the internet and the rest. And I think it would be proper at this particular time if this question can be actually directed to the respective company for them.
That is CHEBUKATI's IBC for you.
Indeed. Now, one of the phenomena that came up in the petitions was one of voter suppression. Now, voter suppression is a strategy used to influence the outcome of an election by discouraging or preventing specific groups of people from voting. These strategies can be overt or covert. One of the most famous ways to suppress votes hails from America, where until the Supreme Court struck it down in 1915, many states used what was called the Grandfather Clause, which was designed to keep descendants of slaves out of the elections.
Correct.
The clause said you could not vote unless your grandfather had voted, which was an impossibility for most people whose ancestors were slaves.
Right.
Now, closer to home, and more recently, Ryla's petition attempts to show that the recent election contained systemic voter suppression. They put forward that postponing the Kakamega and Mombasa gubernatorial vote could have negatively affected overall turnout on August 9th. The Baba petition in point 106 states that Mombasa and Kakamega counties are strongholds of Baba, and that they are, and I quote, largely considered the petitioner's vote basket. They infer that the postponement was a strategic ploy that affected voter turnout to the detriment of Baba.
Yes.
To put this in context, Baba's petition could be asking whether, by not having all 6 competitive seats that day, the IEBC reduced people's motivation to come out and vote. The Baba petition gets us to consider a counterfactual question. That by IEBC removing the governor race from those 2 counties, did they disenfranchise a significant number of voters to affect the presidential results? A quick scan of the 2022 results shows that indeed voter turnout in Kakamega was the lowest in all the counties of Western Kenya. Voter turnout in Mombasa was the lowest in all the counties in the coast and in all the 47 counties. Another petition by the youth advocacy group also includes this particular matter, and it states, as a result of this postponement of the elections for the governor of Mombasa, the voter turnout in Mombasa County with respect to the presidential election was 44% against an average turnout of 56% in previous elections.
Yes.
And then they go on to tell us about Kakamega. Here they tell us, as a result of removing the Kakamega governor seat, the voter turnout in respect to the presidential election was 60% against an average turnout of 72% in previous general elections. This youth advocacy petition tells us that the net effect is that Ryla lost an overall vote number of 122,077 votes, while Ruto lost 63,072 votes. Now back to Baba's petition, where another form of voter suppression mentioned was the deliberate failure of KEEMS kits. Here, for example, we are told IEBC did not use KEEMS kits to identify voters in polling stations in Kakamega and Makueni counties, which again they tell us is disproportionately affecting Ryla's strongholds.
Yes.
And the most blatant form of voter suppression actually comes from Omtata's petition. Now, he tells us that the IEBC chair did not tally those who voted manually. He just didn't count them.
Yes.
This means 140,028 votes were untallied. We therefore beg the question, could all these errors have been random coincidences?
Good question. I'll flip this and talk about something else.
Yeah.
The People's Petition, Raila's petition, makes an accusation against Wafula Chebukati as the chairperson of IEBC. And the petition states, I quote, "The chairperson usurped the role and functions of the commission and purported to declare a result that had not been tallied and or verified by the commission." The question then is, must the IEBC commissioners agree on the tallying process for the presidential election before the chairperson of IEBC declares the result of the election? What does the law say? The law talks about 4 actions with regard to the results of the presidential election.
Correct.
These actions are counting the votes, tallying the votes, verifying the count, and finally declaring the result. So according to the law, whose job is it to count? Whose job is it to tally? Whose job is it to verify? And whose job is it to declare or announce the result? We will go through the provisions of the law and you can assign the responsibilities for yourself.
Great.
Article 138(3)(c) of the Constitution states the following. In a presidential election, after counting the votes in the polling stations, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission shall tally and verify the count and declare the result. Another section, this is 39(1)(c) of the Elections Act, which states that for the purposes of a presidential election, the Commission shall A. electronically transmit the tabulated results of an election for the President from the polling station to the Constituency Tallying Center and to the National Tallying Center. B. Tally and verify the results received at the National Tallying Center. And C. Publish the polling result forms on an online public portal maintained by the Commission. The second schedule to the IEBC Act says in Clause 7 that unless a unanimous decision is reached, a decision on any matter before the Commission shall be by a majority of the members present and voting. From these legal provisions, counting happens at the polling station,
Yes.
tallying happens at the constituency and national tallying centers, and verification happens at the National Tallying Center.
Yes.
That leaves the question, the task of declaring the results. According to Section 39(1)(d) of the Elections Act, the chairperson of the Commission shall declare the results of the election of the President in accordance with Article 138(10) of the Constitution.
Yes.
So let's draw back. What does the Constitution say? Article 138(10) states that within 7 days after the presidential election, the chairperson of the commission will do 2 things. 1, declare the result of the election, and 2, deliver a written notice of the result to the Chief Justice and the incumbent president. Now, according to the People's Petition, the chairperson used, and I quote, his office as the National Returning Officer to usurp the powers, duties, and responsibilities of the commissioners,
Yes.
and unilaterally and secretly tallied, verified, and declared.
Yes.
Now, from our reading of the law, whose job is it to count, whose job is it to tally, and whose job is it to verify, and whose job is it to declare or announce the results? But before you make your decision, allow me to quote a 2017 decision of the Court of Appeal that has been quoted in the public. Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission versus Maina Kiai and 5 others.
Yes.
To suggest that there is some law that empowers the chairperson of the appellant as an individual to alone correct, vary, confirm, alter, modify, or adjust the results electronically transmitted to the National Tallying Center from the Constituency Tallying Center is to donate an illegitimate power. Such a suggestion would introduce opaqueness and arbitrariness to the electoral process, the very mischief the Constitution seeks to remedy.
Fantastic.
I love it.
Thank
Decision
you for
yours.
taking us
Beautiful.
through the Maina Kiai case
Beautiful.
there.
I was in law class today.
So guys, our winning headline, I want to put it up to the Daily Nation or the People Daily. IEBC either in a tight corner or Raila's smoking gun.
Yo, smoking gun. Smoking gun.
There you have it. Daily Nation gives us our winning headline, and I want to end with this. History's first lesson is that a nation cannot endure without virtue. A republic's leader must place what is right above what is easy, what is proper above what is pleasing. Kindly subscribe to our channel, but also find us on social media. I'm on Twitter at Samasana.
On Twitter at Kmaina and TikTok at Kandabongo.
I'm on Twitter at jkambuni.
Have a lovely day.
God bless.